This is a question to one of the inquiries I got from one of my top fans. She asked a question and I created a video to answer that question. So if you want to know how to take your cake off the turntable after decorating, this video is for you. Now the preparation starts from the beginning, from right before you even start to stack your cake. It all depends on what you put your cake on. So you're going to need cake boards to put your cake on, but you don't want to actually start decorating on like this big one. This is going to be my final cake board. What I'm doing is I'm using a smaller one to decorate my cake on. Now depending on what you are doing, it will determine what size. So you can see that the size of the cake board that I'm using is actually slightly bigger than the cake. So this is an 8-inch cake and that cake board is about a 9-inch, so slightly bigger. Sometimes, depending on what I'm doing, I might use a smaller cake card. So this cake card is 6-inch. It is slightly smaller than the cake that I'm decorating, but that could work as well. But the key thing is you want to put another cake card or cake board underneath your cake and you're going to decorate on that. You'll see when we actually then take the cake off the turntable, this gives us a base underneath the cake to be able to move the cake adequately. Now, one thing I'm going to say, if you are decorating with buttercream and you are not using a turntable, you're just making life difficult for yourself because it is a mess if you decorate without using a turntable. Now, if you are struggling and you don't know exactly what tools that you need for buttercream decorating, baking, and literally everything cake related, then you should check out my video where I go through all the tools that I have and use for baking. And I also have a handy guide which cost only $7 that shows you exactly what tools I have, where I've got it from, and it will save you loads of money. So you should check it out. It'll be showing at the top of the screen and also in the description section. So now that I've chosen this cake board, I'm going to start decorating my cake. Whatever size cake board you use, you want to essentially like glue your cake onto your cake card. So you apply a thin layer of your buttercream, or if you're using ganache, your ganache onto the board, kind of all around, but not towards the edges. And then you're going to place your cake on that so that essentially it sticks onto your cake board. Now, as we go along through this video, I want you to watch what happens to the cake card. Now you can see it very clearly because it's bigger than the cake card, but right at the end, see how different it looks, and then you'll be able to understand why sometimes it is better if you pick a cake card that's actually bigger than the size of your cake. So now I'm continuing with the whole process of layering my cake, and then I'll start to decorate my cake. But actually, what I actually ended up doing, because when I put the next layer on, so I was making two different layers. One was a chocolate cake and one was a vanilla cake. Now, if you don't know how to make simple, delicious cakes, vanilla cakes, chocolate cakes, I have got you covered. I have loads of tutorials that go through in depth how to make delicious cakes. So again, you should check it out. And literally, you should subscribe to my channel so that you see all my videos and you get to know what I'm up to. And with me, you will upgrade yourself and your cake decorating skills. So now I kind of wasn't happy, they weren't level enough, so I actually trimmed my cake. So I ended up with more edges of the cake board showing. But again, watch what happens as I start to decorate the cake. So once you've decorated the cake, now this is just a crumb coat. And this is a crumb coat that I put in the fridge, so it's nice and solid. So you see when I picked it up, I didn't dent the buttercream. Now, just to show you the whole process, this is what I did. So I want to take the cake off the cake board, because sometimes you want to do that. Can you see how I'm using a palette knife to just slide under the cake, and then you use that to lift it up? Now this would only work on a cake that is nice and firm and that has been in the fridge, so that your buttercream is solidified, so that when you touch it, you're not going to mess up your buttercream. So I'm using that to gently lift off the board, and you can put it onto your cake card. So this is one way that you can transfer your cake from one surface to the other. So if you were using a smaller board, or you didn't want to use a board underneath, this is one way. And the key thing again, you need to chill your cake. If your cake's not chilled, it'll be a hot mess. Now so I continue to decorate my cake, and this is my cake now fully decorated. The cake board is underneath, but you can see that you cannot see again, and that's because the buttercream has occupied that remaining space, so you can't see the cake board. And again, the cake has been chilled, so you're just sliding it underneath, so that you find that plane between the cake board underneath and your turntable, and then you're just going to gently slide and glide and lift it up. And if you look closely, you can see that the cake board is right underneath it. And then you just put it on your cake board, make sure it's nice and centered and it's in place. And once it's in place, you then gently slide your palette knife off, and then you can see if there's any. Sometimes you'll find that the edges are a little bit messed up. Not to worry, you just put some buttercream and then patch it up and decorate it, and that is how you take your cake off a turntable. The other thing that you could use, if you have what we call a cake lifter, that also works as well. But essentially, a palette knife, or either an angle palette knife, straight palette knife, or just something, or even a ruler, would work well. So that's how you take your cake off a cake board. So if you got any questions or anything that you want to make a video on, then drop it in the comment section. But until then, happy baking. I will see you next time.